I've spent about a couple of weeks with the Realme 7 and let me tell you guys, it's not a big upgrade over the Realme 6. But sometimes it doesn't need to be. Sometimes an iterative update is good enough. And well, that's the story here with the Realme 7. Hey guys, Amurtha here from C4eTech, and if you do end up enjoying my review, then please consider subscribing and turning on notifications by hitting that bell icon. Let's now get started. One of the biggest changes from the 6 to the 7 is the look. The new design still uses plastic but does away with the glossy gradient finish and instead opts for a more subtle dual tone pattern. The camera bump has also been updated to a more rectangular design that's in line with the 2020 trends. The best part here is that Realme managed to cram in a 16% bigger battery while the weight of the device went up by a measly 5 grams. Now would I have preferred glass here like the Redmi Note series? Heck yeah, but for what it has, the Realme 7 doesn't disappoint. And it's more of the same story up front as well. The display is still IPS LCD, retains the 90Hz refresh rate. But the big thing here is that this 6.5-inch Full HD Plus panel can actually get bright enough to be used outdoors. Now this was one of the main problems with the Realme 6 and I'm glad that they have fixed it. Other than that, it's still a good quality IPS panel with bright colors and nice contrast. Like last time, we have a punch hole to the top left for the 16 megapixel selfie camera, and all of this is protected by Corning's Gorilla Glass 3. Coming to the internals, we have stepped up from the G90T on the Realme 6 to the MediaTek Helio G95. Now on paper, this is a faster CPU with higher core clocks, but when it comes down to everyday performance, once more I didn't find any noticeable difference. The extra GPU horsepower though was much appreciated, especially when playing demanding titles like Call of Duty Mobile at the highest graphic settings. And in games that support the higher refresh rate like Modern Combat Versus, the Realme 7 feels a lot faster and snappier thanks to the new Mali MC4 GPU combined with the 180Hz touch sampling rate. On the memory front, we still have 664 and 8128GB variants. The dedicated microSD card slot returns as well, so future storage expandability isn't gonna be a problem here. In fact, during my time with the Realme 7, I forgot that I was using a budget device. And that, I think, is the highest praise that I can give it. Despite the 90Hz panel and a MediaTek processor, the Realme 7 didn't end up feeling like a hot potato or skipping frames. And the performance here was good enough that I forgot all about the hardware I was supposed to be testing and instead just enjoyed whatever app I was using at that time. And that's my segue to jump directly into the software. Now, I really like using Realme UI. It's consistent across devices, comes with loads of useful software add-ons, and during my time with the Realme 7, it pretty much ran flawlessly. The only trouble here is that, well, there's nothing new to show you guys when it comes to Realme UI. So I'm hoping that Realme UI 2 and Android 11 hits all these devices real soon. Coming back to the Realme 7, it shares the same biometrics as the previous generation. The side-mounted fingerprint scanner is as fast as always, and even Face Unlock works just as it should. The Realme 7 delivers great sound quality through the headphone jack, but the bottom-firing speaker feels a bit teeny and hollow. And if you think you've heard me speak those exact lines before, well, that's cause I pretty much felt the same way about the Realme 6. In fact, these two phones are pretty much built the same, but then Realme had to make the 7 thicker by half a millimeter more so that they could fit in the bigger battery. It's a 700 mAh jump in capacity from the 4300 mAh on the Realme 6 to 5000 mAh on the Realme 7. In real life, that translates into 12 to 15% better battery life. So I was able to get through a day no problems. But in case you find yourself needing a quick charge, Realme has us covered with their 30-watt dart charge adapter. This can get the Realme 7 back to half capacity in less than half an hour, and going from 0 to 100 takes a mere 65 minutes. Which then leads us to the optics. Once more, we have quad cameras to the back. But don't read too much into the 64 megapixel moniker. The camera on the 7 is an improved Sony IMX6i2 sensor, and we can see that in the daylight snaps. We get crisp looking photos with good dynamic range and vibrant colors. And since this is Realme, Chroma Boost makes a return as well. Low light though is where the Sony sensor really gets to flex its muscles. Images come out looking bright and the processing is good enough to keep the noise level under control. Realme though doesn't just stop at the regular night mode. The Realme 7 comes with a starry night mode, needs the phone to be mounted on a tripod for stable blur-free snaps. Moving down the line, we get an 8 megapixel ultra-wide snapper. Works as expected. And finally, we have the dual 2 megapixel macro and depth sensors. Just like every other phone that has them, these are just here to make up the numbers. They really don't add anything to the 7's camera capabilities. As for the selfies, well, the 16 megapixel IMX471 has been a favorite of Realme, so it's no surprise to see it make yet another appearance here on the Realme 7. As expected though, the selfies look good for the most part. Realme has done a good job at retaining the skin tones as well as the details. I also really like the look of the 4K footage captured by the IMX6i2 sensor. We have good details and dynamic range. As for EIS, that kicks in at 1080p. And for even more stable footage, we can switch to Ultra Steady or Max Ultra Steady, although the latter does sacrifice quite a bit when it comes to the details. Like the rest of the phone, the cameras too are a step forward. The Sony sensor seems to be doing really well. The increased battery life is a definite plus, and so is the brighter screen and overall new look. But is it a good upgrade? Well, before I answer that, let's first temper expectations. After all, tech only moves so fast and sometimes phone launches can feel a bit hurried. The upgrades, they just don't feel as substantial. And guys, I get that. I mean, I would be lying if I said that this was as big of an improvement as the Realme 5 was to the Realme 3 Pro. But given that the 664GB variant of the Realme 7 costs the exact same as the 664GB version of the Realme 6, I see it more of as a free upgrade than a generational one. And that's why I think the Realme 7 is a great offering. Granted, it might not have brought a lot of new things to the table, but at 15,000 rupees, it's a lot of phone for not a lot of money. And well, with that, I come to the end of my review for the Realme 7. Do let us know how you liked it in the comments below. Also, would you pick up a Realme 7 for yourself? Let me know why or why not in the comments below. As always, like, share, subscribe, and turn on notifications by hitting that bell icon if you haven't yet. Thanks a lot for watching till the end, guys. Have a good one. Cheers.